Good Thursday morning, and thanks for logging on to BAMWX.com. Meteorologist Michael Clark here with your short and long-range forecast update. We'll talk about the next 2 weeks, an updated 16 to 30-day idea, and the new seasonal Japanese model for winter. All right, pretty interesting take there. We'll discuss that. You're looking right now at temperatures from normal, top left, and precipitation month to date. And again, you know, we've ran very, very dry in here to start the month of September. The first really 14 days have been very dry. That is going to change in a very big way, and this is going to go very dry. So we've started very chilly here and very warm here. This is about to flip completely. A complete pattern reversal in the cards here coming up, and you can see it already in the 5-day rainfall forecast. All right, this is from the latest high-resolution data, and you can see just the next 5 days across North Dakota, out here across the northwestern belt, areas of 2 to 5, even 6 inches of rain. And then days 3, 4, and 5 next week, looking here in the Central Plains up across Iowa, southern Minnesota, north Missouri. You're looking at places that could see 4 to 6 inches of rain across Iowa. A lot of consensus that a lot of Iowa is going to get in on a lot of rain here over the next 10 days or so. Over the next 2 weeks from the GFS, you see the heavy rain there again across the North Plains, and very similar to that here going across the central belt too, where Iowa is looking at 5 to 6 inches of rain total the next 2 weeks. And you see it's a little bit drier here. It's going to turn progressively drier here, I believe, as we rumble deeper into September. A ensemble mean forecast of rainfall the next 2 weeks shows again where the activity is really focused in terms of where the heaviest totals are from the ensemble mean across the belt here, and that is the western and northern part of the ag belt. Okay, so the clusters, all the data blended together, keeps it obviously very active, especially in the 6 to 10 day. That's where you're going to get a lot of your rain in here. And then we still keep it somewhat active in the 11 to 15, and that's because we're still going to be having this ridge down to the south and east that can run. You can run some troughs or fronts into that ridge, and you get activity from that. Overall, the next 2 weeks is pretty darn warm. The next 10 days, excessively warm. In fact, a little bit of a heat wave, I'd call it. And, you know, places are going to be getting into the 80s for a string of multiple days. You can see weeks 1 and 2 temperature outlooks, very, very warm. Anywhere from 8 to 12 degrees above normal the next 2 weeks across the eastern United States, and cold out west. And again, that's that complete pattern reversal. And you can see that right here in the week 1 and 2 precipitation, where it's been very dry, it now turns wet. And where it's been very wet, it now turns dry. So that's, you know, classic signal there. And what we're doing is we're just flattening the Pacific Northwest Ridge, the PNA, and we're opening up the Pacific Jet once again to usher in warm and moist air. You look at the total number of 90-degree days here over the next 10 days, and you can see very, very warm. Places in Iowa that have 2, 3, 4 days in the 90s possible from the evening European, even warmer down into the south central plains. And taking a look at the European high-res total of 80-degree days, that's 9 to 10 days across Indiana, Illinois, Missouri. And you see where obviously all the maroons are. That's 10 days of 80 degrees. So, hey, I call it a heat wave. I don't know what you call it, but it's going to be warm. And then what's interesting, as we get into the 16 to 30 day, weeks 3 and 4, because we update that tomorrow, so we're looking at that today. The new European weeklies come out tonight. But the 5-day average, so 80 different runs of the CFS V2, showing a cooler threat in here, and an overall, you know, seasonal normal rainfall look. The 16 to 30 day analogs show the cooler threat and an active look. All right, these analogs, some amongst the top years are 95, 2010, 99, 68, 03, and 85, 81. All right, these are some classic Niña years in here. Now, what's interesting is I don't know about this. You know, I don't know if the 16 to 30 day is cooler. When I look at the organic forecasting methods, again, you know, notice we've had this region here this is the region that we watch. All right, look what's been going on since the beginning of August. You've had this big ridge to the west and trough to the east. Look what happens now as a big ridge comes in east and a trough comes in west into the Bering Sea. So this is a signal to me that some more ridging would be in place in the eastern U.S. and more troughing in the western and northwestern U.S. So it would make me think this look here doesn't make sense. The new Japanese weekly data, the 1st through the 15th of October, agrees. There's a trough northwest up here, and there's a ridge here. And it looks like our October forecast. I'm inclined to side with the JMA for now, all right? As again, I do think there are fronts in there that can bring cooler weather and some stormy weather, but I do think overall it's warm, especially with the negative angular momentum and the correlation to that. You look here at the weeks 3 and 4 forecast, maybe a little stormy over the lakes in the eastern belt, but most of the activity focused north and west, you know, back where those troughs are running into that ridge. So we've got some discrepancies. The new European comes out tonight. We'll take a peek at that. Real quick, here is the JMA forecast for October, just in today. All right, this is a big ridge here being forecasted over the United States for the month of October from the JMA. Big trough out here to the west. Okay, getting into November, continuing to see this very classic La Nina look with a very strong ridge here and a flatter look here with the trough intruding in. This would correlate to a lot of warmth in the east in November. Colder back out to the west and northwest. Start to winter possibly sooner. Look at December. Now this is interesting because there's a ridge way out here in the Atlantic, and there's a ridge down here, and you do have a supply of cold air available. I think from around this area and points north and west, winter could get started early in December. Okay, December 23rd or 22nd is actually when winter begins, but meteorological winter is December 1st. But there are some indications of some colder weather here. The big code red that we notice is the lack of high latitude blocking, especially with the QBO and how it's come in today even more negative than what it was last month. Look at January. Okay, very strong ridging here, very strong ridging here. There's a lot of room, opportunity for cross-polar flow into here. In between two ridges can mean a lot of winter storm action right here. That's a possibility. You look here at December, January, and February, overall the aggregate, and note that the ridge is centered a lot farther east into the Atlantic, and we're seeing a lot more ridging going on back out here across the west. Okay, so there is room. If I had to say where it's going to be colder and stormier than the last two winters, I think there's room for that in here, right in this area here in terms of the United States. Okay, that's something that we do need to monitor. I know, looking at last winter, the problem is the ridge was in the U.S., and it was pumping up all this heat into here, and then, there was no chance for a lot of action. It was all centered back up here in the Pacific Northwest. That's different, all right? Now the models are trying to put it out here in the Atlantic. It's just one of several models. This looks very close to our preliminary winter outlook right now, so we'll side with it. We'll see. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Thanks for logging on. Chat with you soon.